What is transpiring now, dear one, is a disruption of the norm. The disruption of what is normal for you. The disruption of your comfort zones. The disruption of what you know. The disruption of what you know the old to be. And the disruption of your nervous system. So, dear one, what is transpiring is a great disruption of your life. An interruption, if you will, of your life. And now looking at that and ask yourself, what is being disrupted and what is being interrupted? As we said earlier to you, dear one, it's important to look at your life. Quite possibly with that magnifying glass and asking yourself, what now is truly important for me? What now is truly important for me? What did I take for granted in my life, in your vernacular, that I am now looking at that is so important for me? Many are realizing new needs being formed. Many are now realizing that intimacy is very important to them. Connection is very important to them. What many are realizing is that they had created a duality in their life. So you can utilize, dear one, the disruption to see what is most important for you. Quite possibly the disruption not allowing you to move through the old norm of your life, and then seeing what is not important for you, that you quite possibly have expended an inordinate amount of energy on just because it was part of the norm in your life, that you can now release. And then look at aspects of your life that quite possibly you didn't, on a conscious level, on a soul level, pay attention to. And now seeing that that is important to me. So it is a reevaluation of your life, a reevaluation of what is important for you. And realizing that for many are realizing now that intimacy, collectiveness, consciousness, togetherness is important to them. So what is transpiring in your world is a forced separation. And many, dear ones, are utilizing it to isolate themselves from what is transpiring in the world. So in a forced disruption, a forced interruption, what is transpiring is a forced separation from others. That gives you a chance, dear one, to become more reacquainted with yourself. So in the interruption, in the separateness, the isolation, what many are realizing now that can shift and change and create a new collective consciousness, as many are realizing that what's important to them is intimacy, togetherness, peace, community. I miss my community. I miss being with others. I miss the intimacy of connecting with others. Quite possibly what you have taken for granted in relationships. And now, since you are being deprived of that in one way, shape, or form, you are realizing that what is truly important and what reflects the depth, innate truth in our heart space is connectiveness. Collective connectiveness. And many now are finding, creating new ways to move into a collective connectiveness. Many are realized through the forced interruption, the forced disruption, and the forced separation from one another, that their truth is truly connectiveness, connection, communication. They are realizing it is the illusion of what they thought was important, the doingness in their life. Quite possibly, all of the doingness in their life that kept them separated from others. But they're realizing is they're not so much missing the doingness. They're not so much looking at the commercialism of your life, the falsity and the illusion of your commercialism in life, the falsity and illusion of your political systems, your governmental systems, and where that inordinate energy has been spent on all of that outside of themselves. For the most part, what many are realizing is what is important to them is connectiveness, collectiveness, connection, and intimacy. And you can see that transpiring in your world today. So in many ways, dear one, it is about through seeing this, in this episode or chapter of what is transpiring in your world's divine plan, is to simply come to terms with what is most important for you and begin to see that within yourself. That isolation and separation no longer works for me. And why did I create isolation and separation? Quite possibly through my shame and judgment of self. But what is most important for me is connection, is intimacy. And somehow, I'm looking at the importance of that and how that fortifies in the depth and breadth of my heart space, how it fortifies me and raises my resonance and vibration. And to see how shame and judgment in the old form, the old life, if you will, became more important than intimacy and connection, which is what you are innately here to express through the depth and breadth of love in your heart space. Because what is transpiring, dear ones, is you're moving into the rudimentary primal aspect of the human beingness, which is peace, community, harmony, equality, love, intimacy, and connectiveness. It's about looking at what is important. And now, dear ones, what is transpiring is now moving into a place of seeing how you can create a new level of connectiveness with others at this moment in time. So it is not so much, dear ones, about what you need to do. It's about, dear ones, what is important to you and who it is you can be and be with others. So as you move towards the end of this chapter, you can move into a new life with a greater sense of abundance. So when you look at abundance, many are looking at abundance and defining it as how much money you have in your bank account. What you are moving into, dear ones, is a collectiveness where it is about supporting one another with your talents, gifts, and abilities and your abundance. You're looking at what is important in life as opposed to, dear ones, how big is the house that I live in? How expensive is the car that I drive? What you are really moving towards as you move through this episode in your life is seeing the innate aspect of the humanness in your soul space craves togetherness, craves oneness, craves intimacy, craves connectiveness, craves collectiveness, and simply, dear one, you are now releasing, dear one, the shame and judgment of self through the isolation and separation that is transpiring in your world today.